great pleasure right now to welcome to the program today a woman who has co-written a book that's going to help, I'm sure, a lot of parents and and students planning on going to college. It's called the Financial Aid Handbook, Getting the Education You Want for the Price You Can't Afford. We're joined by Ruth Vedvick today from Illinois. How are you, Ruth?
I'm very well, Doug. How are you?
I'm doing well, and just having a chance to read through the book a little bit. I'm sure a lot of parents right now, as we do this interview, are probably trying to figure out how they're going to pay for that first year of college coming up in late August, early September.
Well, that's exactly right, and the concept of paying for college has been greatly exacerbated by the downfall in the economy. So families who were relying on perhaps home equity or savings have found themselves in quite a squeeze play to pay for college, and that's part of what precipitated writing the book. But for the most part, this has been an issue for a very long period of time. And the book is to help families understand everything from the basic language and processes to apply for federal and state financial aid, as well as financial aid based on academics or need from colleges and universities.
Is there less money available now for scholarships or loans, or is that kind of a myth as far as money available for college right now? It seems like there's less out there, but is that true or not?
Well, there's a little bit of truth in that. The states commonly fund state grant programs for residents of their state to be used at institutions in their state, and because of the dire straits of so many of our states in the United States, those values have decreased, and of course college costs have gone up. The scholarships offered by colleges and universities haven't decreased, and at least that I know, all of the external scholarships, the ones that you would find on, for example, fastweb.com, those have not decreased. The state funding is an issue, and it will continue to be for a couple of years as the economy heals. And the federal government is grappling with funding for the Pell Grant, which is the significant federal grant. It's an entitlement grant based on your income, your assets, and your debts. But for now, that's holding steady. But we're not sure what the federal government will do with that grant amount, even in the second semester of the coming academic year. It may go down a little bit.
Down here in Florida, they always go through the budget process with the legislature, and every year it seems that the state colleges, which includes great colleges like University of Florida and when I went to USF down here, they're cutting back and tuitions go up. So that is a factor. Even state schools are more expensive now than they used to be.
That's absolutely true. When I started in this business, the state colleges and universities were funded by as much as half by the taxpayers of the state. And now we don't even use the word state-assisted for some of those schools. It's as little as 15 or 20% of their funding coming from the taxpayers. So, of course, they've had to increase the tuition and fees. And what we've seen over time is that's eroded the price differential between private colleges and universities and public colleges and universities. And in our book, we tell families how to go through a cost-aware college search to figure out what their true price will be after they receive merit scholarships and need-based grants. And many families are finding out that they can go to a private college or university for about the same money as they can go to, let's say, their flagship university, even paying in-state tuition. So it's very important that families use all the information they can get to really understand what they're going to pay. We also are saying in the book that it's time for families to do a cost-aware college search. In the old days, the paradigm was you go through a college search process and you fall in love with a school, and then you see if you can get in, and then you see if they're going to give you money. Mm-hmm. And what's happened is you might get into it's called a REACH school or your dream school, but they're not going to give you nearly as much money in either merit scholarships or need-based grants as the students in the top, let's say, quarter of their academic profile. And so we're suggesting families not start with falling in love and then figuring out how to pay. Figure out what you can afford and who will fund you to go to college next year, and then go after those schools.
Are colleges, obviously, they're in it to attract students. Are they more competitive now as far as getting students to come to them? It seems like that might be a benefit to students nowadays, right?
Oh, very much so. And in the industry, in higher education, we call it discounting. That colleges and universities will drop their tuition price for students that they really want to enroll, and those are students who typically are at the, like they have the best test scores and class ranks that are coming in each individual class, and that varies a little bit from school by school. And then also the schools they fund students that share their passions, and so a school that might be very green, very sustainable into sustainability may actually sweeten the pot for you, give you a little extra money. Commonly, the faith-based schools or religiously affiliated schools might, like the Jesuit schools, might give a little extra money to, Catholic school kids, especially, those enrolled in a Catholic school. And so there are a lot of ways to improve your financial situation, the money that you're going to get from schools, if you pay attention to what it is they care about. And you go onto the websites of colleges and universities, and they'll tell you who to give scholarship money to and what those parameters are.
Now, down here in Florida, I'm not sure if other states have it. I guess they probably do. You can say you have a child born, you can get an account right away where you put money in every year, whatever it is, and then you're guaranteed whatever's available in that account will guarantee you admission to a Florida school. Is something like that worthwhile looking into? Obviously, you're planning way ahead, but I mean, that's something that you should do, right?
We absolutely encourage families to consider the savings plans that are either state-based, or there's a big group of schools that are in a 529 savings plan. There are a number of them. And on our website, thefinancialaidhandbook.com, you'll find a state-by-state guide to the associations that sponsor scholarships and grants and state loans and savings plans. And so you just click on your state, so all your Floridians will click on Florida and follow the links to get all that information. It's never too early to start saving for college. Now, in many states, you are not guaranteed admission. And I can't tell you whether or not, for example, if you were in the Florida 529 savings plan, I'm going to assume that you would not be guaranteed admission to the University of Florida, for example. Mm-hmm. Typically, you've got to get in on your academic.
Oh, sure, right.
Then you can use your savings plan there.
Yeah, I think they guarantee the tuition cost, not that you're getting into school. But if you get in, the tuition cost would not be any higher than what you have. But anyway, that's what it used to be. I don't know if it still is.
Yeah, and that's been a very good deal, but there are a lot of states that are changing that policy or practice going forward because as costs have gone up, they haven't been able to afford to fund the difference between, when you contributed and what the prices are now. So read all of that carefully, all of you listeners.
Are you optimistic, Ruth? I mean, obviously, there's more work involved, I think, nowadays than maybe before for students and parents, looking for funding. But it's out there, but you just got to kind of be more diligent, right?
You know what? My co-author, Carol Stack, and I are confident that you can find funding to go to school, and you need to know where to look, and that's what our book helps families with. And you need to know yourself. In fact, we developed a whole section in the book about, and we call it the exercise is called the map, which is mapping out all of the things about you, your academics, your interests, your passions, your activities, your leadership, and matching those against the institutions that you're considering so that you'll know who will be most interested in having you enroll and more likely to fund you. So we're very confident. We think in this country every person who is looking for a post-secondary education experience can figure out a way to do that, even if you have the most dire financial straits at home. Your personal circumstances are tough. We have a plan for students to map out. Community colleges in Florida has a fabulous community college system. You can go, if you can't afford four-year school right away, no problem. Whoever asks, where did you start college? People say, hey, where'd you go to school? And they mean, where did you graduate?
Right.
So you could go to Broward County. You could go any number of the great community colleges. Live at home if you can. If your folks can at least put a roof over your head and feed you. Get through on very low tuition costs. And we encourage students to save all of your borrowing capacity for the last 2 years. So then you transfer to Florida State or UFL or Eckerd College, which we've profiled in our book in the Best Step section, any number of schools. And you have enough borrowing capacity that you should be able to finish those last 2 years. And in fact, we encourage students, borrowing is fine for college. We we're challenging kids to not borrow more than $8,000 a year or $32,000 cumulative over 4 years. That's based on national research. The income-to-debt ratio that the financial planners recommend is 1-to-1 against your likely average, your starting salary. So if you were to borrow $32,000 in the next 4 years to go to college, your loan payment would be $348, and you should be able to work that into your budget if you're making $32,000 a year or more. As long as you're not living high on the hill, you know what I mean?
No, I hear some horror stories of amounts some people have borrowed over the years. They're still paying it off 20 years later, so that can be
scary.
That can be difficult. Yep. Well, it's a great book of information. We've been talking with Ruth Vedvick, who, along with Carol Stack, has written the Financial Aid Handbook. And Ruth, give out a website once again. People can get a hold of the book, or maybe send you a message if they're interested.
That's right. Go to thefinancialaidhandbook.com. Our own website will direct you to places you can purchase the book, like Amazon or Barnes & Noble or your independent booksellers in your area. And we think it'll be very helpful for you. So far, we've had a lot of good feedback since the book came out in May.
Great. Ruth, appreciate you taking a few minutes to be with us down here in Florida today, and look forward to talking to you again down the road. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for the opportunity. We appreciate it.